And when you get that, even after retirement, you know, when you retire, social work is a
It's
kind
my
of
target for retirement now. This is
God
my
bless
target for
you.
retirement.
God bless you. Because all this
I'm
refugee
already
of a thing, nobody will invite you to come to Maiduguri again. Nobody will invite you to come to
no, no,
ID.
no.
In fact, your subordinate will have said, what is this woman still waiting for? Why is he
I'm
still
telling
coming
you.
into doing our
I'm
this?
telling
So
you.
it's better to try to establish yourself and look
Yes,
forward to
that is
tomorrow
yes.
with a better lens.
That is why I came for this program. I've gotten my acres of land. I'm going to build the home. So I want to have more experience. So when I heard that there will be,
Sorry,
for you
it's
to.
like, okay, sorry, I'm with you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So when
Others
I
have
heard
also
that
joined.
others have come,
There's others have joined. So that
we'll talk
uh,
later, sir. We'll talk. I don't. This is personal.
yes,
We'll
it's
talk
personal,
later.
so that we can discuss that later. Uh,
Yes, sir.
good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This is 5 minutes past 5, and I mean past 3. Sorry. While we were waiting for you, I started a chat, a private chat with Loretta, and perhaps some of you will have heard what we were discussing, and I know it's going to be a point of interest to some of you that are here. So once again, let me say good afternoon, and I
Good
want to welcome you to this class.
good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. You are welcome. Uh, we are about we have just few, and I expected that every other person should have been here. I believe they will not come back and be dragging us back. And it is my practice to start my things on time, and it is my practice to respect time. In fact, as a social worker, you need to respect time. It's one of those qualities that's expected or that are expected of social workers. Uh, I want to sincerely apologize for not coming on board when the class started last weekend. It's as a result of some other exigencies which I had to attend to. Yesterday too, I just came back to have a little rest. So when I noticed I've been having a number of the messages on my, on my wall intimating me of this class. So once again, you are welcome. I am Yakub, social worker Yakub, as you likely know, and it's going to be a very good interaction. I hope so, and if you people also cooperate. And for that reason, I want to thank my colleague that took you yesterday, and I believe he did her best to ensure that you understand a little bit of what we call core competencies, social work, as well as good service delivery. So, by way of introduction, I would like to know some of us. Just introduce yourself maybe in 1 minute each, so that I get to know you properly. In the meantime, I will be calling your name, and you try to introduce yourself. Let me know your name, and you tell us who you are, and where you work, and your experience, perhaps your background, so that we know how best to go in this class. Thank you so much. Sorry, we have here, we are just six together with me. I have here Loretta. Loretta can quickly introduce herself in 1 minute. Let us know where you work and where you are based. So in this order, Loretta number 1, Jegede number 2, Kehinde number 3, Omona number 4, Opeyemi number 5, and Marcus number 6. Please, in that order.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Loretta Onizekeme. I work with the National Commission for Refugees. I'm affiliated to the presidency, and I'm in class. That's all. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, next. 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 Okay, which name?
Good afternoon. Good
Good
afternoon,
afternoon.
class.
Good afternoon.
Yes, my name is Jagade Adebola. I'm about completing my master's in social work. I'm a private entrepreneur, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you so much for that brevity. Kinde. Sorry, if you are not speaking, can you please mute your mic?
Good afternoon, class.
Kinde, please, over to you.
Good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kehinde Akinwale. I work with Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. Presently, I'm at Ogun State Command. I'm glad to be here, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
How is Ogun State?
Ogun State is fine, sir.
Gateway State.
Yes, sir.
I pray that I pray that I become gateway to heaven, to paradise.
Amen.
So the next person, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. My name is Omona Malin Daniel. I had my first degree in sociology. Last year, completed my PGD social work. By God's grace, this year I'm on my way to Masters in social work. I work in
Great.
environmental sanitation by ELSA. Thank you.
You are welcome. Marco, Opeyemi, sorry, Opeyemi. Because I know the latecomer say, Opeyemi, or mute and speak. Okay, perhaps it's not here. Marcus,
Okay.
if you can hear me, yeah?
Yeah, Marcus James. I have first degree in psychology, MSW, social work. I'm in Ibadan here. I also run business.
Ibadan, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I say I am into business.
Oh, great. You are welcome, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, Rachel, I can see one Rachel here. Rachel, can you please introduce yourself? Or you don't know, you are just joining the class.
Hello, sir. Am I on now? My name is Orolu Abimbola.
Oh, you are on. Please go ahead.
Okay. My name is Orolu Abimbola. I have a degree in Health and Social Care Management in the London College of Professional Study, and I did I did a global MSc Global Healthcare Management, and currently I'm running a program, MSW in Lautech, and I work with the local council.
Where?
In Lagos State.
Lagos or your state?
Lagos State, yes, Lagos State.
You are welcome.
One of the local governments in Lagos State.
Which of the local government? Can you be specific, please?
Okay, sir. Shomolu local government.
Shomolu, fine. Thank
Shomolu
you.
local government. You're welcome. Thank you.
I've had you, ma. You are welcome. Well, that is, I think we can take one more. I don't know. All others are latecomers, so there's no room for that. Rachel, are you there? Adejuma, are you there? Opeyemi, okay. Opeyemi, please.
Opeyemi is there, sir.
Opeyemi, please speak up. That's the last person. Please, let's meet you. I thought Opeyemi said she's here. Are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm okay.
Okay,
Opeyemi, yes, I'm with you. I had a network. Yes, sir.
Okay, we
I'm
can hear you
Okeokoyemi
now.
Selina by name.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okeokoyemi Selina by name. Currently, I'm in Ekiti State.
Great.
I'm working with the Ekiti State Ministry of Health Impact Project. Currently, I'm undergoing Masters in Social Work from LAUTECH, Ogbomoso. Thank you, sir.
All right, you are welcome. So once again, I want to thank you for that brief introduction. Others that came late, there won't be time for such again. It's 15 minutes past 3 o'clock, and we have to set for what we have to do. You know, this is what we want to do is time bound, and there's no, sorry, we do not have that luxury of time. And as a result, I want us to maximize the little time that we have. So in that wise, I believe my colleague
Hello,
has.
sir. Hello,
Hello,
sir.
hello,
I've
hello.
joined the class before the time. It was network problem, sir. I've
No problem,
joined
please.
before the time.
Okay, you want to introduce yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
What's the name? Please do it
I'm
in 30 seconds.
Fatima Omowumi by name, sir.
All right, ma'am.
I had my
Yes.
degree in social work and MSW in adult education social welfare.
Okay.
I
You
work
are
with
doing
Oyo State Government, Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion, Secretariat Ibadan.
good, 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 good. So you are welcome, ma'am.
Thank you,
You
sir.
are welcome.
Thanks for the
Yes,
opportunity.
yeah, you are welcome because I saw your name too, but at a point you disappear. Can you see? Can you see my screen? Can
Yes, sir.
anybody see my screen?
I can see it, sir.
You can see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So my colleague yesterday had taken introductory part of the course with you, and I want to believe you move along with her up to the point of competency 3, and according to her, we are to move on to competency 4, and I want to
Yes.
believe by now you have this material, and you must have gone through some of them, and as she explained to you, you will have understood many parts, or you have understood the critical parts of the course. Why are we into this competency? Why are we into quality service delivery? Why do we need it? You want to look at the fact that already you have masters, you have PhD, you're already practicing, or you have your first degree in social work, and you want to call yourself an expert. But before you can do that, you can raise your shoulder and say, I'm a professional. There are certain things, there are certain qualities that we need to see in you. And that is when we see those qualities, that is when we say this person is competent. Of course, you know what we experience these days, or what we experience in life. Many people or many students graduate from school. They graduate from university, they graduate from colleges. But does it mean that all of them are competent to practice? Does it mean that
No.
all doctors are competent? Does it mean that every driver is a competent driver? Of course, we'll pass these comments alongside when we discuss, when we have kind of discourse amongst ourselves, even within the family, among friends, on the street. Jokingly, we will say that, no, I can't attend that hospital. And people will ask you, why are you not going to that hospital? Or I can't take my children to that school. Why do we make that choice? Something must have informed us to have made that good choice of ours. But if you are asked, why did you take your children to federal government college? Why not the school that is very close to you or that is nearby, that is in your neighborhood? Why are you burning fuel every day to take your children to that school that is far from your home? Why? Why are you taking that stress? What cause for that? Because you have, according to by your own judgment, you have seen those schools of having competent teachers, of having competent personnel, of even delivering good service. If they are not giving you that, you wouldn't have taken them for anything. You wouldn't have chosen them for your children because you want best for your children. It's the same thinking, the same way when you call yourself a professional. We want to see in you that thing you profess. Then how best can you demonstrate to people that actually you are a professional? How best? That is why we are taking this course. We want to show to people that I'm a professional. And there are certain things you cannot get while in school. Of course, you know that. School only prepare you for life. That is why the education is for life. Education is that training that you get from the cradle up to the grave. But what you get in school is to prepare, is to lay a foundation for the life to come after school. It is not what you experience while you are working. It is not all that you have experienced during school days that you also meet in real life situation. More or less, you do theory in school. But when you go into the world, outside the school, you go into the town, what do you see? You now see the reality. When you see the reality, how do you behave? How do you conduct yourself? Then that comes to the aspect of being competent. That comes to the aspect of being called a professional. And when you are a professional, you must profess rightly. You must profess competently. Then people will now point to you and say, this man, this woman, this officer is a competent officer. I know you must have heard that. You have dealt with so many people, even where you work, even if you are a private a practitioner, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a businessman, you have a number of staff, you know those that are competent, you know those that you can entrust with certain duties. Because of what? Because of their competency. So in this regard, you must also possess some competencies. Those competencies will now tell people, really, this man is a professional. You know, when you meet an accident scene, you see people wailing, you see people taking photographs, you see people running skater, you see some people even parking, causing obstruction on the other road that's supposed to be an access for people. But when you see professional, nobody will want to want to rescue those that are victims of that accident. But when you see professional approaching you, even those that are not professional, the way they will handle it, you will see that these people are not professional. When you see professional arrive at the scene, you see the way they handle the accident victim. You will see the difference. You will notice the difference, and you conclude that actually, even among the professionals, you want to see those ones that are more competent than others. So, last lecture, you stop at advancing human rights and social, economic, and environmental justice. And you know, social work, mainly, social work will want to address injustice in any society. We want to address any inequality in society. We want to make life better for people. You want to improve the living standard of people or the well-being. The overall well-being of the people is germane to your heart as a social worker. Because you want people to move from one pedestal to another better pedestal. That is why you are a social worker. And that's the essence of social work. You have a society, or you have an individual, or you meet an individual, and you expect that individual to improve. You expect that individual to improve. his well-being to be improved upon, you anyway expect the community or the family of that individual to be a very good family. You also want the society in which that individual lives or the community where he or she lives to be better. In that wise, you are looking at protecting the right, the right of individual, the right of the family, the right of the community. You look at the socio-economic and environmental implications. How best you can create a kind of balance in this. So as a social worker, you need to understand that every person, regardless of position in society, has fundamental human rights. Whether a person is disabled or is not disabled, whether that person has or he doesn't have, whether that person is poor or not poor or rich, whether it is educated formally or not educated, you should understand that such a person has his or her own fundamental human rights, such as freedom, safety, privacy, and so on and so forth. So going to competency 4 now, it is about engage in practice-informed research and research-informed practice. It's like vice versa. Practice-informed research. As a result of what we are doing now, or what you have also experienced as a practitioner, in practice, in reality, in practical, when you go out, what you experience will inform you or will even trigger a kind of rethink within you to see that this particular aspect, you have noticed a problem, you have identified a gap, and there is need for you to solve that problem or to prefer at least a sustainable solution to a particular problem that you have identified. Because in the course of doing your work, that is when you identify that. Then you want to carry out research and investigate more. You know, research is investigate on a phenomenon that you have identified. You want to investigate more. All right. Why? Recently, I think within the last few days, this video is trending about Delta Osolo. Is it Ozoro or Zoro Festival in Delta? And they are saying during that festival, the young guys, the youth are molesting or attacking or abusing young ladies and women. They are raping them. They are meting out sexual violence to these ladies. And that thing is trending. And that is what is happening. As a social worker, you may not want to limit yourself to what you just heard on the news, what the government has, the action the government has just taken in trying to investigate further. The government has taken a step to investigate further into what can cause, what has actually led to this by arresting some people that are involved. Okay, as a social worker, you want to know more. Why? What's the root cause of this problem? Why is it happening? Why did they or have they associated that raping with that festival? You want to know more, then you want to conduct research, because before you can know more, you have to conduct a research. You know, that is why you are practicing. You identify the need for a research. A research is to solve a problem and provide solution or make recommendation. The other way around is research has been conducted in several areas, and you want to implement the recommendation in those researches to ensure that society is at best, to ensure that society improves. So when you do that, you are engaging yourself in research from both ends. It's like a coin. You have a head and you have the tail. So social workers understand quantitative and qualitative research methods. Of course, you should understand the difference between qualitative and quantitative research methods because of what the training you have actually gone through, and because of the experiences you have had. I had someone I think someone introduced herself from Ekiti, who said she's working with on impact project or something like that. Engaging in that particular project will expose that person to a number of things that otherwise she wouldn't have known if she's in the office. She wouldn't have known if she's just reading manuals or she's just reading reports. But when she's there on the field, she will discover so many things that will not plan for. So that one will influence. As a social worker, one should be ready to allow those things to come into his or her into our working. So social worker know the principle of logic. Social worker understand that evidence that inform practice derive from multidisciplinary sources and multiple ways of knowing. Of course, you can't hold on to your own opinion and say that's the right thing. You give credence to other people's opinion. That is why we have scholars. That's why we have scholars. The social worker also understand the process of translating research findings into effective practice. You know, there is a difference between having a research report and implementation. When you have research reports, you have research findings, those findings influencing your practice. For instance, if it is found that social workers are not well paid or remunerated, and there is a research that now said it is added, or during the course of the research, it was found that a few personnel on social work desks are not professional. In that wise, the government should appoint professionals to those desks. You know, that's the recommendation. But the finding is that only a few ones are on that desk. They are not, the few ones you find on that desk, they are not professionals. That's the finding. So how do they put it in practice? The social worker will understand this. So that is about practice-informed research and practice-informed research-informed practice. Competency 5. As a social worker, you engage in policy practice. What is a policy? Policy is like a set of action or set of plan of an individual, of a private entity, or of a public organization to solve a particular problem in order to improve the well-being of that particular society. In essence, we have a number of policies in our country. We have a number of policies in different facets of life. We have policies in different sectors of government. The most important policy here is the policy of the government because it affects everyone. That is why it is called public policy. It affects everyone. So if there are social welfare policies, are they being implemented according to what is planned? Are those policies still relevant to today's realities? It is the duty of social worker to ensure that as a professional, he or she understand well the way policy works, the way policy is implemented, the way policy is practiced. That is why we say, if you are a social worker, you must be competent in understanding what policies say. If I ask you now, how many social welfare policies you know? I know you tell me many social welfare policies in the country that has to do with the social welfare or social well-being of people. We have a number of policies. As a social worker, do you understand them? As a social worker, you need to understand. If you're a social worker, you don't know all the policy we have about social welfare, which means you still have to learn, you still have to read, you still have to meet with people that are in this respect. So what am I saying? We say social worker understand that human rights, social justice, as well as social welfare services are mediated by policy and its implementation at the federal, state, and local levels. Because government, Government has enormous resources. That is why when they make policy, it's a public policy. It affects everyone, whether you are rich, whether you are poor. You will recall or you remember this January, there was a particular prominent policy that was launched or that took effect from January 1, 2026. And that policy is about tax reform or tax policy, new tax policy by the federal government. And everybody is affected by it. Because it is federal government, it is the government. An individual cannot just introduce such a policy that will affect everybody. So in that policy, the tax you will pay as a rich person is different from the tax I will pay as a poor person. The tax you will pay as a corporate body will be different from the tax an individual will pay. That's a policy. As a social worker, you need to immerse yourself in understanding what those policies that affect the social well-being of people as an individual, as a family, as a society put together, as a community put together. How does a policy, a particular social welfare policy affect these people, these categories of people at those levels, different levels that we have of human existence? As a social worker, you need to understand that. In social work, a major policy in Nigeria today, a major social work policy is that of National Social Protection Policy. I wouldn't know whether you have heard about it. It's a comprehensive policy that addresses the social needs of almost the underprivileged, the poor, the disadvantaged, and people in need, or the special people. This is a policy that is so comprehensive and that addresses the elderly, the youth, the unemployed youth, those that are out of the retirees, those that are aged, the people in the ID camp, the orphans, the widows, and so on and so forth. So many social protection nets are part of the program in that particular social policy. It is that policy that specifies, or it is that policy that actually provides for the care these people I have mentioned. And particularly, as a social worker, you must understand what the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria says. The Constitution is the supreme law of the country. In fact, it's the grand norm, as the lawyer will say, is the grand norm. If it is grand norm, which aspect of that constitution talks about social welfare? I give that to you as an assignment. Let me know the particular chapter, the particular section that talks about social welfare or that addresses the social well-being of the citizens of Nigeria. Please note it. It's an assignment. Get a Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It shouldn't be strange to you. As a social worker, you need to know all this because that's the supreme law. Every Nigerian to use it, that's our Bible. If every nation, if every country is to have its own holy book, our holy book in Nigeria is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. That's our own holy book. Let's just assume that we don't have Islam, we don't have Christianity, we don't have traditional religion, and we are to adopt one holy book. Our holy book is Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Why is it holy? Because it is binding on every citizen residing in Nigeria or living in Nigeria or citizen of Nigeria by origin. So that is competency 5. Competency 6, it has to do with engage with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. Are you people following me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I want to believe you are following me. I hope I'm not too fast. I'm not running too fast.
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
All
okay,
right,
sir.
thank you.
It's okay, sir.
So but at a point in time, I will break and you ask questions, you make your own contributions as well. Engage with individual, family groups, organizations, and community. Like I've been explaining along. In social work, you deal with individual, you deal with family, you deal with community. Those are the three targets that we have. It's either you have issue with an individual that you want to help him or her solve, or there is an issue with that particular family, or you have an issue with the community at large or group of people. Social worker understand that engagement is an ongoing component of the dynamic and interactive process of social work practice with and on behalf of diverse individuals. You know, uniqueness of individual, uniqueness of people comes in here. People are diverse in nature, families, groups, organizations, and communities. We need to follow, as a social worker, we follow the importance of human relationship. As a social worker, and they say you don't have good human relation. You know, you have scored 0 from ground 1. You have scored 0 now, because it is expected that a social worker must be of good human relation with others. You should not score less than 70% in that respect. People should because when they see you as possessing good human relation, then you tend to bring people to yourself. You tend to encourage them. People begin to entrust their confidence in you. They will begin to believe in you, and you continue to move on from that aspect. Anyway, that's an aspect. That's another course. Perhaps I don't know whether it is this schedule or in this diet or the other diet. But I know you also talk about rapport building, advocacy, and so on and so forth. I don't think it is in this case. If it is in this course, we'll talk about it. How do people buy into what you are selling? How do people buy into your ideas? When you are there, you are so cruel, you are so callous, and the people cannot even move near you. And you say you are a social worker. You need to watch. You are a head in a department. You are a head of an organization. When you are there, you cannot relate with people very well. That's a problem. So, but it is believed that social workers understand the theories of human behavior and social environment. It is believed. It's a belief. You know, I said initially that theory, we had the theory in school. But when you go to field, when you practice, you meet a number of things that are in diverse form. You begin to see things in their real colors. Realities will just come in by the time you go into the field. So social worker understand the strategies to engage diverse clients and constituencies. Because of the training you have had, it is believed that you have that strategy to engage diverse people, to engage diverse individuals, and even constituencies. Social worker understand how their personal experiences and affective reactions may impact their ability to effectively engage with diverse clients and constituencies. These are part of what I explained earlier. Competency 7, assess individuals, families, and so on and so forth. The first one, 6, is, you see, it looks like the same, though they are not the same. You engage with individual, that was the first one. Then the next one is for you to assess. You want to assess an individual. You want to know more about that individual before you are just interacting. But now you want to be serious about your interaction. You begin to assess. Like if I want to conduct a continual assessment exercise for you, so why do I call it continual assessment? I want to know whether all I've been saying Whether you understand or you don't understand, I can assess you at the end of this lecture. I can just give you a short test, a quick test, in Google form, you just fill. Just tick. You know, by that, what will I get? I will get to know whether you understand what we've been saying or not. Whether you are actually with us in this class or you are thinking about your dinner. Whether you are in the kitchen, I wouldn't know now. Whether you are in the bedroom, I wouldn't know. Whether in your car, I wouldn't know. But if I assess you, that will tell me a little bit about you. That will let me know a little about you, not much, because I'm only assessing. I'm only assessing at the lower scale. Then the next one, you can read further. The next one is to intervene with individuals. When you assess, if I administer questions and you answer those questions, maybe some score 8/10, some score 5/10, and some also score 3/10. You know, that will enable me to know how do I come in to assist these people? How do I come in to ensure that I can solve your problem? Those with low marks, how do I come in? What do I do? Will I repeat this class so that they can catch up? Maybe those with low marks, because of my assessment, I discover that those that score low marks, they are the one that came late to the class. Maybe they joined the class when the assessment question was being administered. So, you know, that one will now tell me what kind of intervention I can bring in to help these people understand what I'm saying. Then that is after assessment. You begin to know what does an individual need? What does family A require to function properly as a family? How do groups, organizations, and communities, how do they forge ahead in their undertaking? How do that community become better? How will development come to that particular community? Then you begin to think about a number of intervention projects or programs that will elevate their suffering at a particular point in time. So this is what you do when you intervene. This is what you do when you intervene. You can read further. Then you can also evaluate practice with individuals. You engage with individual, you assess that particular individual, you also intervene in that particular individual problem or any gap you have identified in his or her life. You try to bridge that gap. When you have done that, the next thing for you is to evaluate everything you have done, starting from engagement through assessment, through intervention, and up till you now evaluate everything. You put everything together. You know, assessment is part of evaluation. It's like a subset within evaluation. Evaluation is a broad exercise, or it's a broad action that you do, very broad, very comprehensive, that has within it assessment. Because in evaluation, you begin to review, you begin to look at it very well. You begin to ask questions. Why has these people scored, or why has this particular person scored this low mark? Why have some other score high marks? So you begin to do that. It is as a result of your evaluation. You know, in evaluation, you can do formative evaluation, you can do summative evaluation. Formative, in the sense that you do at the beginning, you want to do it as you move along the process. But at the end, you can sum every evaluation together. Like every week, you can do evaluation. Every month, you can do evaluation. It could be formative. But if you want to, you can do evaluation at the end of the project, at the end of the intervention. That is summative. In evaluation, you have a number of things. That is why you see these NGOs, whatever project, whatever intervention they do, they come back to round table to review, and they call it review meeting. At times, they do peer review. They do peer review so that they want to understand why they have made impact in this regard, where they have failed in another regard. What problem have they identified? What are the obstacles? What are the gaps? And how best can they just bridge those gaps? So this is the essence of evaluation. As a social worker, this evaluative quality or tendencies to be with us. and is part of your competencies. You should possess that knowledge of evaluation. When can you evaluate, and how do you also evaluate? Because you already know the theories of human behavior, and you know what happens, and you know the methods you can use to evaluate. So as a social worker, at every point in time, at every intervention, either to an individual, to society, or to group of people, or to families, you need to have that competence of evaluating your practice. When you do that, you begin to become more competent. You begin to become more competent. So when you talk among your peers, when you talk in the society, people will say, "Oh, this person knows his or her onion," as people will say. So that is about competency. I don't know. I can just give us few minutes to ask questions or to make comments or to contribute as we move on. Thank you so much. Let me allow you. Let me stop sharing so that you can ask questions or you make comments. Thank you. The class is full now. 17. We have 17 or 18 in the class. So do you have contribution, questions, comments, or observations? Well, yes, I'm listening. I think okay, okay is now can now hear us very well. I just saw your chat. I just saw your message in the chat room. Opeyemi, are you with us in the class?
Yes, I'm with you.
All right. Thank you. So any questions?
Thank you, sir.
So I think the procedure is, you want to ask question, you raise your electronic hand so that I can identify you. Or better still, to save time, you can unmute and ask question. You can unmute if you want to ask question in a very brief moment. So for a moment, I can allow you to ask questions. Yes, Akambi, you want to say something? You are muted.
Am I on now, sir?
You are on. You are on.
Okay, sir. Please, sir, before you move on, sir, I want you to shed more light. The difference because this thing look alike. It looks alike. That's competency number 7 and that of 8. Or that of 7 and 9, I mean, assessment and evaluation.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's all right. Thank you. Okay. It's as a result of the time that we have, I was trying to explain the difference between assessment and evaluation. When you assess is like a continuous thing that you do on the process. And assessment is not as comprehensive. It's not as broad as evaluation. And that is when I brought in the issue of formative and summative evaluation. In essence, evaluation is more broader than assessment. In assessment, I talk about like assessment is ongoing. While you are doing your things and you are trying to note what is being done, what performance you have been able to do. The assessment and evaluation is like you are trying to, one leads to another, because assessment is like a subset in the evaluation. Let me bring it this way. Perhaps you understand it that way. From that, then you can apply it to future work. Look at goal, aim, and objective.
Okay.
You know that goal is like a general aim of what you want to do generally. That if we don't explain better to people, people will not understand in detail. But when you come to objectives, what do? You try to specify, this is what I want to do. Like, let's say, goal is to have the goal of education in Lagos State is to provide qualitative secondary, let me just put it that way, is to provide, maybe the goal in education sector is to provide quality teaching techniques for teachers. Let's put it that way. You know, quality teaching technique for teachers to provide that. To provide, you cannot measure provide. What you can measure is, okay, objective. Let me specify. Objective 1 is to train 360 teachers. Objective 2 is to identify 60 schools. You know all those ones, you can measure them.
Yes,
in
sir.
assessment, you will see that there's no way you can diverge objective from goal, because objective flow from goal or flow from aim. So the same way, the evaluation is like a broad spectrum of everything you want to do, you want to assess, everything you want to know about that particular individual. But for you to get to your evaluation, you need to do a number of assessments. Assessment, like in school, you have continuous assessment that you do continuously. Look at what we see here. Assessment is an ongoing component of the dynamic and interactive process of social work practice. As you go, for instance, person working in a refugee camp, you know, when you resume at the refugee camp, your duty is to provide care generally to the refugees in those camps. But when you get there, how do you engage in your duty? I think what you do is you want to see how many refugees do we have in those camps. That will help you determine what to do. And for you to do that, you need to assess the records of those in the refugee. There will be no time for you to start evaluation at that point because you have not done anything. But you can just assess the record, get the record and assess how many refugees do we have. How many of them? On the spot assessment, or while you are doing that thing, it's an ongoing thing while you are still on that duty. But when you evaluate, you must have completed a particular task. You have completed it, even though you can even complete when you assess. But you have completed a very long series of tasks you want to evaluate. An evaluation takes place either in short term or at long run. Short term means formative. Long term means summative. The short term could be every 3 months or every 6 months. That is why we talk about how many of you are civil servants. If you are civil servant or you work with the government, we talk about annual performance evaluation. Have you heard about that? Annual performance evaluation. In those evaluation forms, what do you have?
Yes, sir.
You have a number of assessments that will tell you what do you do every month, what do you do as a duty. All these are put into you are put into in your memory for you to know when you now do the overall evaluation. I think that is the best way I can explain. That's the best way I can explain. Then you go, that is for an individual. Then evaluation, it will take time. That is why it comes at competency number 9. You must have intervened, which means you have taken some steps. At each step of your task, you assess. At each step of your task, maybe every month, every week, you assess. But when you now complete, when you are halfway into your project, into your intervention project, what do? You now evaluate. It's like doing formative evaluation, doing a kind of biannual, not even annual, a biannual evaluation, or middle term So that is why you see government, they talk about midterm, they talk about long term. You can have a midterm evaluation. Midterm evaluation means you want to know what has actually happened midway of your project. But at the end of the project, you can also evaluate. And of course, children in school, they do continuous assessment. At the midterm, at times on school, we write an exam that will cover all the assessment they have been doing from week 1. After that, at the end of the term, they do. That is term evaluation. But at the end of the year, what do they do again? They also do evaluation that is yearly, and that one will determine their promotion. That one will determine whether they are going to another level or they are not going to another level. And at the end of the course, you still evaluate the student. What do? You do cumulative. What they have been scoring from year 1 up to the 500 level, and what do? They compute the GP and everything, and they give you the result. That's the final evaluation. So I wouldn't know whether I've been able to answer your question to your satisfaction.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you as well. Any other question?
Good evening, sir.
Any other question?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Please speak up.
Oh, thank you, sir. Actually, I would like you to please kindly do a little bit justice to competency number 5.
Number what?
Competency number 5.
Number 5.
Yes. You said social work in policy practice. And how can social worker engage in policy practice so far that it is the government that they are the what is it called? They are the one behind the policy. Because I mentioned a kind of policy that was made under the NSR, the National Social Register, whereby our core what is it called? Our core duty is to attend to the needs of people and to solve their social problems. And this social register of the thing, it's only let me say the program is only meant for certain people. It's not for general, because it's supposed to be for the elderly, the orphan, the physical disabilities, and others. But perhaps it's only meant for certain people. It's not general as it is. How can social worker comes in to address that?
Okay, thank you so much. You have only mentioned one policy that addresses a particular problem, that addresses a particular need of some special people, because there are different types of policies. There are policies that affect all, like I mentioned, national social protection policy. Of such policy, I also mentioned a particular legal instrument of the Constitution. But all the same, as a social worker, you can engage very well in, there are phases of policy formulation. When at the formulation of the policy, the social worker can be engaged. How do you engage there? Before any policy can come out, there will be a committee that will be set up. There will be people, they will call for memorandum or memoranda. At times, they will call for public hearing. When you hear such, that this particular policy is about to be made, government don't just sit down. Government at any level, they don't just sit down and just roll out policy. They carry people along. It's another question to see those that are being carried along, whether they are the right person or they are not the right person. That is a different ball. That's a different ball game. But as a social worker, when you know there is a policy that requires what do we call it this time around? Renewal, or is it renewal? No, they want to review. Let me say review. They want to review a particular policy, and you are aware It's your duty to work up to those if you have any idea or how best that policy can address the needs that you have seen, perhaps through your research or through your field experience or through whatever form that you have, and you need to let them know. You need to vent out those ideas. And I know there are people that are there. They will listen to you when you make your presentation in a way that is seen to be very, very constructive, not destructive. So as a social worker, you can just you need to collaborate. There's an aspect in social work that we talk about partnership and collaboration. You collaborate with those that are in the National Assembly or those that are in the legislature. You collaborate with those that are in the judiciary. Collaborate with those that are in the executive arm of government. When you do that, when the collaboration is superb, when the partnership is so smooth, definitely you're going to have an inroad into making those policies. I want to believe I've been able to answer that in a way that you will understand. So in this regard, if you go to, yes, I'm with you. In this regard, there are policies that are made at the state level. There are policies that are made at the national level. There are policies that are even made at the local government level. So it depends on where you operate. Wherever you are, you operate, you will find your level. There's no way you not find your level. You will find your level, and you can also make your inputs. And by that, and don't be discouraged when you made an attempt and that attempt is not recognized. Don't be discouraged in any way. You continue to mount pressure. We see all those policies that we have today is as a result of several attempts of some people. Today, we have this VAB law as a result of pressure from non-governmental organizations, from various civil society organizations on the National Assembly, on the government. When we have that at the national level, it requires all the state houses of assembly to domesticate that in their state. And it also called for serious effort, attempt by civil organizations and the stakeholders and those that are concerned about violence, about people or provision of violence against people, to ensure, to lobby or persuade the state houses of assembly to domesticate those laws in their different states. And this has been done in so many states. It's more than about 70 or 85% of states have now adopted that particular law. They have their own VAB law. Whereas at the national level, it is VAB Act. There's no way it can be operative if those states are not. But during the process of domesticating that, public hearings were held, and people were called. Memorandum were called from people. They were invited. People were called to come and present their ideas on how best that particular law can be domesticated. How best that law can be can actually address the peculiarities of those states, and it was done. And social workers were involved. If the social workers were not involved, they would have given us a wrong policy or a wrong law. So as a social worker, you must put it, you allow it to be with you, that anytime a policy is right for review, prepare yourself, get your facts, and engage and participate. They will even love it. Even those in the National Assembly or in the House of Assembly, the legislative, they will invite you. They will want you to come and give them the idea because they don't have the ideas. It is you people that are professional that can give them the right ideas. Thank you so much. Any other question? I wouldn't know if my response actually satisfy your curiosity.
Perfectly.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Any other question? All right. I'm afraid we may have to stop at this point, even though the class is larger now. Some people make introduction, but I don't know. Let me see. We want to continue maybe next Saturday by 9 o'clock, I suppose. We want to continue on rapport building, and that will cannot take us time. And when are we expected to finish this particular schedule? Can somebody assist us? When are we expected? Check the timetable. When are we expected to round up? Hello?
By next month, we should be rounding up.
I think
Next
it
month
is a
ending.
Date. Give me the date.
Okay.
It's next month anyway, no problem. Don't worry, I will check the timetable as well and let you know. And I want to assure you that we're going to cover everything. But as it is now, we may have to stop at this point to allow you go over those the material that you have with you, and if you have any question. But before I leave, I don't know who is representing the class. Who's your class representative? Who's your class representative? Do you have any?
We don't have.
You don't have yet. You need to pick somebody among you to be representing you, so that if you have any issue to want to discuss with the coordinator or with any of the facilitators, that person can just reach out to any of us at his right time. So please just discuss among yourself and let us know. So next week, Saturday, 9 o'clock, we'll start we'll start on time, and by the grace of may God spare our lives beyond that period. And I will have to leave now, except you have some questions or you have some observations that you want to make. You can do that. Hello.
Hello, sir. We are hearing you.
Yes. Is there any question? Any comments?
We'll save it for next week, sir.
Okay, we reserve it to next week. So thank you so much. Please don't forget, I asked you to look at Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and tell me the chapter and the section that talks about social welfare. So that is where we will start next week. That does not mean that you should come late to the class. So if you come late, it's going to be minus for you. So that does not mean you not come late to the class. So as you come to the class, you tell me that aspect you have read on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You don't need to go and buy Constitution. Just Google, you see Constitution of the Federal Republic. You see the soft copy online, and you read about it, and let me know the chapter and the section that talk about social welfare in Nigeria.
All right, sir.
Okay, sir.
So
Thank you,
until
sir.
that time, when we have the opportunity of meeting again, I want to say bye-bye to all of you. Thank you for your patience and for bearing with me.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.